Nagoro is a small Japanese village that is slowly decreasing in size. The number of living people is reducing and they are slowly being replaced by dolls. Tsukimi Ayano has been replacing people with dolls as they die or move away. The dolls can be seen all over the town, and there are about 350 now, with only 40 people left. The school is now filled with student dolls waiting patiently for their classes to start. The dolls give the village a very eerie feel. The tunnel was originally created to help drain the fields and led to a small cluster of houses. Legend associated with the tunnel that centers around a young girl. It is said that the young girl ran away from an abusive father when his wife tried to leave him. A bitter dispute arose between her parents and the girl ran away to the tunnel. The father, not wanting to see the girl taken away, set her alight. It is said that if you light a match in the tunnel, you can hear the girl screaming. The small island of dolls can be found just south of Mexico City. The island is dedicated to a young girl that was found dead floating in the water around the island. The caretaker of the island tried to save the young girl but couldn't. Later, he found a doll floating near where the girl was found and hung it from a tree as a sign of respect. The caretaker was haunted by the girl and hung more and more dolls over the island. He believed the dolls themselves were haunted by the young girl, and people report the dolls whispering and moving on their own. When he died, his body was found near the spot where the young girl was found. The Capuchin Catacomb can be found in Sicily and were created back in the 16th century. When Palermo's Capuchin monastery began to outgrow its cemetery, the monks began to create crypts below it. The monks began to mummify the bodies by placing them on ceramic pipes and washing them with vinegar. Originally, the catacombs were solely intended for dead friars, but over the time, having your body preserved became a status symbol. Leave instructions in their wills about the clothing they would like to wear after mummification. The last burial was performed in the 1920s, with one of the last mummifications being performed on a 2-year-old girl. The Cecil Hotel is a low-budget hotel in downtown Los Angeles, boasting 600 rooms. It was opened in 1924 by William Banks Hanna, and he had invested considerably in its success. The hotel featured an opulent lobby with stained glass and marble decor. Shortly after it opened, the hotel became a victim of the Great Depression in America and was used for illicit purposes. The hotel shortly gained a reputation for suicides and violent deaths as the surrounding area spiraled into decline. During the 1960s, suicide in the hotel had become so common that people referred to it locally as the suicide. As well as suicide, the hotel was also believed to be linked to serial killers operating the area. The most notable story associated with this hotel is the story of Elijah Lamb, who was seen acting strangely in the lift. The video footage shows her repeatedly pushing buttons and acting as though she was hiding from someone. Shortly after, the residents complained about the water in their rooms tasting odd. When the owners investigated, Eliza's body was found in the water tower.
Poveglia is an island 10 miles from Venice and dates back to 421 AD when people fled there to escape barbarian invasions. The island itself has an interesting history. In the century, it was used as a quarantine station after an infectious disease was discovered on some ships. On the island until their death and are now said to haunt the island. In 1922, some of the existing buildings were used as an asylum for the mentally ill. It is claimed that during this time a doctor experimented on the patients and performed crude lobotomies on them. The doctor later jumped from an upstairs window, claiming that he was being haunted by the ghosts on the island. It is estimated that there are approximately 100,000 people that died on the island. The horror of the massacre in Amityville has been the source of much speculation and even the subject of a film. The speculation centers around whether demonic forces were involved in the gruesome murders. In 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. was found guilty of slaughtering his family. Ronald claims that he heard voices telling him to kill his family as part of his defense. However, it should be noted that Ronald was also a heroin and LSD user. A year after the murders, the Lutz family moved into the house and started to report supernatural occurrences. Some of these occurrences were sinister red eyes in the windows, swarms of flies, hoof prints in the snow, and voices telling them to leave. The Lutz family only stayed a month before fleeing and leaving all their possessions behind. The Sedlic Ossuary is sometimes known as the Bone Church and is located below the Cemetery Church of All Saints, found in the Czech Republic. An ossuary is a place that bones are moved to after they have been buried for a period of time when space is scarce. The ossuary became necessary after an abbot brought back soil from a visit to Jerusalem and scattered it into the church's grounds. After this, the cemetery became a very desirable place to be buried since the ground was so sacred. This led to a shortage of space, and the Sedlic ossuary was the only solution. The abbots could have simply piled the bones in the ossuary, but they decided to employ a local woodcarver to arrange the bones in an artistic way. There were over 40,000 bodies, which meant that he had plenty of bones to work with. He created candelabras, a family crest, and many strings of bones draping from the ceiling. The catacombs lie deep below Paris and were built in the 18th century when the local cemeteries posed a disease risk. When the local authorities made the choice to move cemeteries, they decided to use quarries that were deep below Paris. The walls and ceiling were reinforced by stone before moving the bones into their current locations. There have been unusual things that have happened in the catacombs. In 2004, police found a fully equipped movie theatre in one of the caverns. It was equipped with a giant cinema screen, seats for the audience, projection equipment, film reels of recent thrillers and film noir classics, a fully stocked bar, and a complete restaurant with tables and chairs. The source of the equipment remains unknown. In 2015, Airbnb paid €350,000 as a part of a publicity stunt, offering customers the chance to stay overnight in the catacombs. In August 2017, thieves broke into a cellar from the catacombs and stole more than €250,000 of wine. The Okigara Forest, more commonly known as the Suicide Forest, can be found at the bottom of Mount Fuji in Japan. The name has been widely adopted due to its incredibly high rate of suicides, only second to that of the Golden Gate Bridge in America. In 2010, there were 247 suicide attempts, with 54 of them being successful. That is almost one attempt a day and one successful attempt each week. At the entrance to the forest is a sign that reads, "Your life is a precious gift by your parents. Please think about them, your family, your children. You don't have to suffer alone. Please seek help." There are a number of theories surrounding the high suicide rate in the forest. Legends talk of demons luring people deep into the forest until they are lost and cannot find their way out. Local people refer to these demons as Yuri, unhappy, angry spirits with long black hair. Other theories blame it on less sinister reasons and due to thick vegetation. For this reason, many hikers even mark their path with tape or string to make it easier to find their way back out again. In order to prevent suicides, volunteers patrol the area looking for likely candidates. If you are not correctly dressed and look out of place, you are likely to get stopped.